Good afternoon, everyone. I see quite a number of familiar faces, but of course there are some new visitors as well. So welcome to BBX Knowledge Series. Today, we are very happy to have Joe with us. And hi, Joe. And so Joe, I think for those who know Joe, I think mainly the audience from Singapore would recognize, but the audience from Malaysia, from India, okay, Joe is a very long-time friend of BBX, and Joe is basically a celebrity MC and an entertainer for all his working years, I think. And that's many years behind him of his experience in entertainment. But I think I'm not going to go and cover so much of details, about Joe, because today he's going to share with us about basically why the online presentation is becoming more and more critical for any one of us who is meeting either our current clients or new clients to be, and how we can walk away with some of the tips on how to enhance that online presentation the next time we go online to present either our, product or service. So without further ado, I would leave it to Joe because time is 3:39 and we have about until 4:20. So over to you, Joe.
Thank you very much, Sabina, and also thank you very much to BBX for the invitation to share a little something here. As Sabina's mentioned, I was in media. Some of you may know me already, some of you don't. For those who have never met me before, I'm Singapore's first forcibly retired TikTok creator. So as we look into the world right now, I mean, many people have said that things have been held back because of the circumstances that we have right now with COVID and stuff like that. I really feel that what's happened is we've been pushed forward. We've been pushed forward, and people estimate different levels of it. But I would say we are forward by maybe as many as 5 years into the future. And this thing that we're doing, that people are trying to maybe get past or get away from, is not something that's going to go away. It's actually going to be more prevalent, and as the technology gets better, more and more of us are going to be doing things online. So before I get going with this, I'd like to find out where everybody is right now. So I'm just going to set up the chat and ask you to just type into the chat. It's going to be interactive. Type into the chat where you're from as well. I'm going to show you the chat screen behind me as well. So whatever you put into the chat there is going to show up. So I hope you will be nice about it. But where are you from today? Where are you listening to, or where are you tuning in from today? Okay. So we have India, Mumbai, Singapore, of course. Terrence in Singapore, hi. Luke with his full contact details, including phone number there, so we can't put this video out anywhere, I guess. I'm sure Luke wouldn't mind that, though. It's part of what he's doing as well. Well, thanks very much. Not everybody, I think, is jumping on the chat to say hello, but hello to Abish as well, and thank you very much for joining me today. Yeah, so the thing that we're doing is all online. It's about the way that we can contact people, and most people think about online in terms of your website or your LinkedIn or your Instagram, when really I think what really counts is how people see you when they see you and when they meet you. And in the days before, when we used to meet in person, we would take a little bit of effort to present ourselves better when we're getting ready for a meeting. We dress up. Some of us have the weekly shower, or at least nowadays is the weekly shower, but we get ourselves ready for that particular event, that particular moment. And it's because that first impression really counts, right? But when it comes to what we do online, sometimes we don't think about those things quite as much. And I'll give you the first of the examples. In fact, what I want you to think about now is what I'm going to do today as a kind of a way of highlighting some maybe some examples which you might find familiar, where we can look for room for improvement. Okay, so I'm going to talk about a few different ideas. One is, for instance, like when you are running an online event or an online presentation, and the first experience. Remember the talk that I proposed was winning before you start speaking. So I'm going to talk about things like that, even before you actually begin your presentation. How can you win? Well, this is how most people experience a Zoom meeting. When they get to a Zoom meeting, and let's say even if they have the password, this is what they see. And this is exactly what I think you saw on the way in. And the question I have for you is, how exciting is this? And with apologies as well, because I don't want the folks from BBX to be embarrassed by this. It's industry standard. Everybody does the same thing. You step into a Zoom meeting, you see this. It's nothing special, nothing out of the ordinary, but it is exactly that. It's nothing out of the ordinary. So if you can do something about that, you can make a difference, right? So how can you make a difference with that? Most of us look at the start of a presentation as the actual starting time. So today was 3:35, and that was the starting time of the presentation. I believe in opening up the webinar ahead of time, and what I do is I add a little bit of an environment so that you come in. So like you do in a day-to-day event, in a face-to-face event. What you would do is you would make sure the lighting was good. You'd make sure the sound was good. You'd make sure that there was some good music playing. You'd make sure a lot of things were in place. So what I'm going to do right now is show you what I do in terms of a waiting room. And because it's a waiting room as well, you'll notice that there is also a countdown. Now, it's not just something you're doing to impress people. You can actually set yourself up for success. What I mean by this is, you have been to cinemas, I'm sure, and as you walk into a cinema, it is not just a space. It's not just where they're going to serve some food here or whatever along the way. It's also where there is a sense of movie going that is set up. There's a whole style to it. There are posters, there are all kinds of things that really add to the anticipation that you have as you're going into a cinema. And when you're in a cinema as well, before the movie starts, you have stuff like trailers and things like that. So I'd like to propose something to you, right? Let's say your waiting room didn't look quite like this, but maybe it looked a little bit more like this. Hang on, let me make sure I can get that up on screen as well. Like this. So a countdown that tells you that things are going to happen at a certain time. And this is especially set up so you can see me at the same time as well. So I can put up things like technical issues, how to do things, and recommend things along the way. I can make information about that. I can put up a slide on words of wisdom. And I hope you're looking out for some fun things I'm putting along the way as well. You can put disclaimers up. By the way, those of you who are trading crypto, I hope you read that special message out there. It's not tough, not an easy time. But this is what I would propose. It's simpler. It's easy to do. It's not that hard to do. You can do this using your PowerPoint or something like that. And simple things like that. Just do a share screen. So someone coming into your presentation sees this instead. Now, by the way, along the way as well, if you have questions, please feel free to write them down and post them, because this is about teaching. It's about sharing what I do. The background of all this is that I do webinars for clients who want to portray themselves as thought leaders, industry leaders. And so what I do is I work on making sure that even before they speak, people are at least impressed. I call it instant gravitas. So that waiting room concept already is something that I think is great. So what happens after the waiting room is done, when the counter counts down to 0? So that's the start of the presentation or start of the webinar, right? Maybe. So what I also think about is, how do you set yourself up to succeed, right? How do you get the audience to go like, oh, I really want to enjoy this. I really want to be a part of this. Now, think about how most people actually get into your webinar. Most people, like yourselves today as well. What were you doing just before this? right? Were you anticipating the whole day to come to this BBX event? Or was it a day filled with all kinds of other distractions? Even just moments before, as you were trying to maybe get into this, maybe you didn't have the password, maybe you got an email from somebody, maybe you have somebody who's waiting for a quotation, maybe who knows, right? Maybe you're here because Dr. Lee has forced you to be here because she's so, forceful and so demanding in that way and so influential. I mean this in the best possible way, by the way. But you know what I mean. Some of you may be here for obligation, whatever the reasons are. A lot of it is unlikely to be that you actually really, really had to do this today, right? Because so many distractions. I just had this thing this morning where I was talking to my family about doing some very important banking. And I asked 3 or 4 people to help me with these different parts of the important banking that had to be done today. And just from the everyday distractions, they missed out. They did not get down to doing any of those things. So, but that aside, what I'm getting at is even if someone is there, they're not in the frame of mind yet. So what can you do to help that? So we had the waiting room, we had the countdown. One thing that I try to do is I do a little bit of an intro video. Now, I know sounds like an elaborate thing, but think about this in terms of what is the thing that you're trying to do. Are you trying to create this great impression? Now, we have another presentation coming up after this, talk a little bit about video production, so you can talk about how to make stuff like this. But this is what I do. This is what I work with my clients to do. So I'm going to show you now, let's say if you come down to a meeting where what they tell you the meeting's going to be about is, reproductive longevity. What's that? Who knows, right? Reproductive longevity is a very important part of science right now, and it's trending because finally there is a balance coming into it, and it's because women actually don't get the same kind of attention in medical science as men do, for a number of reasons. But part of it has to do with the way data is gathered, and when they do tests and experiments, they do tend to, like leave women out those results. Sometimes for safety, usually for safety reasons, actually. But because of that whole protocol, the science around women hasn't been as developed. Okay, so that's the main thing. So this is an introduction for reproductive longevity. It's about women. It's about how we can extend longevity and reproduction for them. But I want you to just think about how this will affect your mood as you were getting ready for this webinar, as you were coming in to learn about this. So this is the intro that I've got for them. Now, I don't know for sure, but I have an inclination that I think, especially the women in the audience, you would have felt like, this is my show. This is something really special and just for me. So it's not always touchy-feely like that. It might be something that sounds like it might be boring. Longevity. This is another thing, right? So there's healthy longevity as you get old. One of the most one of the least exciting things, I think, for the general audience, although getting more and more relevant all the time. Here's an intro to a webinar where we talk about aging.
I'm feeling like sunshine, like springtime. Like something's in the water and I'm taking a deep dive. I'm feeling so weightless, like I'm gonna make it, and nothing in the universe can take this. I can see it clearly now. nothing gonna bring me down. I got my head held high, I'm on my way, and I'm following the signs to my happy place. I'm walking in the light of a brand new day, and I'm right where I belong in my happy place. I got my head held high, I'm on my way, and I'm following the signs to my happy place. I'm walking in the light of a brand new day, and I'm right where I belong in my happy place. And I'm right where I belong in my happy place. And I'm right where I belong in my happy place.
Okay, and then the presentation starts. I just want to get an idea whether this is useful to you right now, is interesting to you right now, and if there was one more little example, whether you'd want to see that or not. I'll just look into the chat for your response to that. Because if you do, I'll show you just one more intro like that. If you don't, I'll go like, okay, you know what? I'll move on to the next thing. Yeah. Okay. Just one quick one. So again, this next one is about learning. If just imagine you're teachers from around the world. You're coming in for a learning symposium. It might sound academic, and probably is, but it might also sound or feel like it's going to be boring. So this is how we set the tone for this one. So, is all of this really necessary? Well, I like to think that when all these videos are done, these kinds of intros, what happens is you've set yourself up for success. Remember, the promise is how to win before you speak, right? And I want you to think about all this build up beforehand, everything that's happened before it actually starts. All of it has gone towards increasing the anticipation, making what you're going to do next more powerful. Does it mean it's a substitute for good content? No, absolutely not. You have to have great content to follow that. In fact, I would say that if you're going to do stuff like that, make sure that the stuff you have following that is worth the trouble. So if you get all that hype and nothing happens in the end, it's a little bit like watching one of those those movies where there's lots of big drama building up to something and then it goes whoop, not much happening there. But you think about the whole thing as a drama. Now, what is the lesson behind all this? We're actually in a world of video. This is video that we are dealing with right now. It is more than just in person. It is actually a communication that's using a camera. It's using digital video. And what you need to do to be successful at video is to produce good video. Now, how do you do that? So I saw a question from Gary a while ago. He's asking about, well, how do you know what to put on those videos? The question I'm going to ask is this: when you want someone to be ready for something, what are the things you would try to put around that topic or that idea for them to be arriving at that spot? So it's not one of those things where you go like, I'm just going to fill the space with something. It is got to do with a feeling. So the first thing you ask yourself is, what do I want the person who is experiencing this to be feeling? What do I want them to be thinking at this point? So for me, because feeling is a very significant part of it as well, I actually choose music. I think about where you want to arrive at, and I think about the music that is going to carry that feeling across. If it's supposed to be inspiring, you know how to find inspiring music that works. With the healthy longevity piece, it was a bit of good luck that we found a piece of music that was upbeat that also had something about a happy place. It wasn't about growing old, but it was about a happy place. So with that, what we did was we made sure that people were able to get that sense of positivity and upbeatness about the music, and then we found after that with the music done, then we found pictures that sort of help to illustrate that as well. And when you have lyrics, it's kind of interesting as well because the lyrics will sort of give you a little bit of a clue as to what kind of picture would go along with that. There was something about jumping into a pool or swimming or whatever it is. And so we found, swimming pools, whatever it is, little things that kind of line up to make it come together, right? So if you're going to be doing something like a video, think about what it is. What is the topic that you have, and then think about the kinds of source material that you can have as well to make that happen. You have to remember that people live the day-to-day lives at a very high level. So in terms of their production levels that they're used to receive, look, you what you watch every day, anything you choose on Netflix has high production value, and even then, for you can watch something and go like, I don't like that. Something doesn't quite, whatever. Then you go to the next thing. Production value is something that is very important. So as you look at this, as you look at what I'm presenting to you as well, that's the next thing that I'm going to talk about. Winning before you speak. It's about production value. What do people see as soon as they see you? Now, part of the problem is you don't really have a mirror that's held up, right? Because in face-to-face, before you go out, you check yourself in the mirror, you look at your teeth maybe just before you see the client. You get a bit of a sense of how it's coming across. Most of us don't do a Zoom check. You don't set up your Zoom and just play it around and record and listen to yourself and then watch yourself and go like, how is this looking to everybody? So the next part is really going to be about how you can do some stuff with your camera, right? So one of the first things that you'll notice, I don't think you'll notice, but is, I hope, evident, is that this picture is a really well put together picture. And the studio that you see behind me isn't real. Now, this is going to be surprising to some. In fact, in the chat, how many of you are surprised when I say the studio isn't real? I'm just curious how that is. In the meantime, someone is trying to call me. It's always someone who's calling in the middle of a presentation. Yeah, so that's to do again with what you need to do to make things work and make it right? So there's some people who use green screen technology. I'll tell you what. This is a live webinar. Okay, now someone was calling me over and over again. I just gonna have to put it down for a while. Yeah. So what was I saying? Yeah. So people use green screen technology and virtual background sometimes in the wrong way, right? And the way I'm going to tell you about this is like, if a virtual background or a green screen background looks real and doesn't seem to be, distracting, then it has done its job. But if it is unnatural, then it may actually form a bit of a distraction, because what happens is there's a factor about how human beings work. We are distracted by weirdness. If things are a little out of sorts, something is, for some reason, just weird. We don't like that. So try to avoid that kind of stuff, right? So in terms of the background. So we'll come back to green screen and Zoom and all that in just a while. But I wanted to do one thing actually before this, which I was getting to. I got distracted by the phone. Okay, tell you what, I'm going to do something I'm not supposed to do. I'm going to take a call. I'm sure it's about my car repair. Everybody stay tuned. Hello?
Yes.
Hi there.
Nghe chào
Okay. Thank you very much. I'll come. I'll come by later. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Coming up.
By 5 o'clock. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Bye bye. Car repairs. Yeah, and apologies to anybody on BBX who may be doing car repairs. I didn't know you were doing it as well. Anyway, so that's the thing about we'll come back to green screens. But the one thing about cameras, right, is the angle of the camera. And I don't know whether you can notice this, but if you look at this picture right now, I'm eye level. I'm at eye level to you. I'm not looking down at you. I'm not looking up at you. And this is one of the things that I'm going to say that I see on Zoom calls, especially, that really makes a difference that people don't realize, right? And that is where your camera angle is. In fact, what I'm going to do in a while is I'm going to offer anybody who wants to volunteer for this a Zoom makeover, a quick Zoom makeover in front of everybody. So we could do that. As long as you're willing to do that, we'll turn on your camera, try and fix a few things. I'll work with you, and we'll create a better impression for you. But one of the easy things really is just to have the camera at eye level. Now, why is that significant? I'm not saying look at the camera. Looking at the camera is one of the fundamentals, is what I've been doing all this time. But also the angle from which you are looking at the camera, that makes a difference. Now, think about what the usual situation is. You're on a laptop, or you put your Zoom on a laptop, and there is a camera that is down on the table or further down, and it's looking up at you, right? And I don't know whether you take stock of that, but that is quite an unfriendly way to look at someone. If someone is that tall and towering above you all that time, that visual, it actually makes you seem kind of unfriendly. On the other hand, as well, you can have it too high. So some people have large computers, large screens, and then the camera is way above them, and the angle is looking down as well. Now, I know a lot of people think that that's good for taking selfies, and it is if you want to look cute. But when you're talking about things like coming across as credible and business-like, face-to-face, straight, eye-to-eye is probably one of the best things. So that's one of the first things you can do for yourself. Just to try and get your camera angles correct, okay? And you can do that by just simply raising your laptop, or if you find yourself in a situation where the camera is too high, find a way to raise your chair. So that's one of the ways of doing it. Okay. So yeah, first of all, any volunteers who would like to do that Zoom makeover? I'm just curious. Was that Sri Kumar? Was that you?
Yes, me.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we do this, Dion? If you can put it side by side, so spotlight. I think you can spotlight and then add a spotlight.
Let me try to do that.
Hang on. Let me do this. I can do this.
Okay.
All right, here we go. So side by side here, Sri Kumar. So Sri Kumar, I think you've been already doing some stuff while I was talking about that, right? You raised your computer already.
No, that's all set. I'm a trainer. Only thing, the background and things like that, I'm yet to figure it out on Zoom. On Teams, I have got everything set. I'm basically a trainer, so everything is set on my Teams. But on Zoom, I'm a little way back, so you need to help me out.
Okay. So what are you looking to do with your Zoom? What is it that you do?
I need a background. I would like to give myself a background.
Okay. So one of the things you've got going right now is that you actually have a nice a good background for putting on a background. And what I'm going to do is demonstrate with my bad example, so you can see what's a bad idea for putting on a background. Okay. So if you look at if you imagine my background right now, if you look at the video that I have, and you looked at it as actually something to do a Zoom background with, it would be horrible. Okay. And I'll explain why. It's because there's not enough contrast, right? So I'm gonna do this. I'm going to use my existing picture right now to create a little bit of a Zoom experience. So I'm going to throw this popular one behind me. It's going to be that. So this is a fake way of doing it. And you will find that the quality of the stuff that's happening around me isn't great. You can see that there's some remnants all over the picture and all that. It's not really good, right? That's how it works out. And the reason why all that's happening is because of contrast. It's the level of contrast between myself, my hair, my shirt, whatever it is, and the background that is around me. So you see lots of black
Yes.
spaces and dark spaces and all that. So there's not much contrast, right? And what Srikumar's got going there, which is great, is that your background is already lighter, right? And it's a different color from you, very much so. So if you were to put on a virtual background, I don't think you'd have a problem right now. So if you wanna do that for me right now, do you know how to do that?
I know to do that, but what happens, I'm not able to, you are the expert here. When I try to give a background, what happens is it starts flickering away. In Teams, I don't have the problem. In Zoom, I do have this problem.
Okay, well let's have a quick look and see what that is. And I hope this is going to be useful to everybody else as well. Okay, this is the idea.
Absolutely. My team is really enjoying the program right now, Joe. Let me tell
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Because we are all trainers, you see, and it's all become virtual these days. So we'll definitely enjoying this program already. So let me choose my virtual background and see. Okay. Now, this is just for a sample. Let me see how this works.
Right. Okay. So I can see the immediate problem right now. All right. And that's because you're using the green screen mode, and when you don't have a green screen.
Okay.
So if you go back to your choose the virtual background menu, right? Right at the bottom of that, you'll see it says I have a green screen.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's probably clicked. You probably have I have a green screen clicked. So unclick it.
Unclick it. Okay.
Yep.
Fine. That's done.
Magic. Oh, hang on. And but do you have virtual background? Oh, I'm sorry. You don't have so you don't. Can you click a virtual background?
No, yeah, virtual background. Now that's all, disabled for me right now.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. So this is about computing power, right? So the virtual background actually is based on having virtual. It's to do with computing power. So it means that your computer might be a little too old, and it just doesn't have enough power to do virtual background.
Okay.
All right. So what you could do, and this is about green screen as well, because with what you were doing before, the reason why those parts where the little parts fading here and there is because they're showing up as similar colors to your background.
Mhm.
So if you actually had a completely different colored background, you could actually have a pretty successful green screen effect. Okay, so that's probably what it is in Zoom. That's your main challenge there. So what I'm going to do is show you, like for me, what would work is a background like this. So if I had a different background and I put it on like that, or it's a red background, or a let's use a monochrome. So if you do something that is more, oh, I don't have the color right now. But if what you can do is actually place yourself literally in front of a blue wall or a green wall, and you actually get a pretty good green screen effect as well. Actually, the rest of what you've got there, Srikumar, is actually very good. I mean, the angle is right, the framing is right, and you've actually done something, which I always had to coach people about, which is to try and put yourself at the thirds, right? You don't want to be the middle. A lot of people tend to put themselves in the middle of the screen like that. You actually want to be up here so that about a third of the screen is roughly where your eyes are, and that's going to be great. So I think you have pretty much a setup that I can't improve that much on. The only challenge.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
No problem. Okay, well, so thank you very much for volunteering. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so that's about Zoom, and that's about the background. So let's talk about the backgrounds just a little bit as well. Okay, so when you have things that have bad contrast, and this is really too much stuff around you, it's going to make Zoom work very hard to try and do this. So this might be a little bit confusing, but this is a simulation that I'm going to put through Zoom, and then you'll see what happens. Now, I want you to have a look at this and just use your imagination with this, right? Where do you think there's going to be trouble for Zoom, and where do you think it might not be trouble for Zoom? Like if you look around my head, you can see there's a lot of nice contrast in there. So the chances are that if I throw in the virtual background right now, it's going to do really well with my head. But can you see where there might be some other problems, right? And this is where you see the contrast level with the bed and what have you around as well. So if I were to throw a virtual background on right now, you can see that the shoulder stuff tends to vibrate a lot more, but the head is actually quite clean because it's got good contrast, right? So that's Zoom. That's the virtual background. The last bit, in the last couple of minutes I've got actually is about sound. And I don't know whether you have noticed, but the sound that comes out of here is something that I work on a lot. And people don't realize that sound is probably more important than visuals, because that's actually what people track for emotional messages as well as for the content. They're actually listening to what you have to say. And most people actually rely on the camera. So a while ago, you heard from Sri Kumar. You probably hear from the other people on the call as well. You'll hear a sound that is very familiar, that zoomy sound, and you're probably wondering, why don't I have the same thing as well? That has to do with proximity to where the microphone is. All right. So that is, it sounds complex, but it's really very simple. If you think about yourself and listening to somebody, do you hear someone better when they're across the room, across the table, or when you are leant up right against their shoulders? Okay, trick question, right? You hear them very well when they're right next to you. So the same thing about your microphone. Where is your microphone? If your microphone is far away from you, that's the way it's going to sound. It's going to sound far away. If the microphone is near, then it's going to sound very close. Now, if you look at this, you go like, where's the microphone? Well, up here. I've got a microphone that's just above my head, and I can just try and tap and make that sound for you so you can hear exactly where it is. It's above my head. It's very close by. It's listening to me. Now, that's one solution. The other solution is very simple. You can have yourself one of these little things. This is what we call a lavalier microphone, right? And that's a small thing. And think of this as an ear. And if you can put that near you and make sure that you have it selected and the right microphone selected as well. You have to make sure you selected the right microphone. What you have is an ear that's going to be listening to you from really right against your chest, and that's about as close as you can get, right? There are also people who have used these little things here, these AirPods. Okay, now there's good news and bad news. These are great and they're also terrible. Now, what do I mean? If you have a new Apple device, one of the new iPhones or new MacBook Pros, this is really good, because what happens is the technology makes sure that you have good audio going both ways. If you have an older device or you're using a PC not exactly optimized for AirPods Pro, what happens is you are going to use Bluetooth as a connection. And what happens to the audio or the bandwidth is that it actually becomes split. So that the quality of the audio that you're going to be able to hear is actually going to be lower. And also, worst thing is that the microphone part of it's going to be sending a lower quality audio across as well. It will be closer, so it will sound more intimate. It will be in one way better, but in the other way, because of the lower bandwidth, it won't sound as good. So that's a consideration for you. So if you're using an Apple device, brand new one, great for you. AirPods Pro work fine, but as far as the Bluetooth side is concerned, you have to use devices that give you full bandwidth rather than shared bandwidth to achieve Bluetooth. Okay, so that's we've got about three minutes or so left for anyone to ask any questions that you may have about this. I hope this has been useful to you. I've been trying to just do a quick download of things that can be useful to make you come across better as you do your presentations. Yeah, so very quickly, any questions before we round up? Everybody satisfied or completely asleep?
I think Sri Kumar has a question.
Joe, it's me again.
Yep, hi. Okay, I'll put you on.
Yeah. So that was fantastic. Since I'm from the previous generation where we have to conduct, of course, we use all the training that we had presented, but virtual training, yes, we are all picking up. We are all amateurs here right now. So we think, I think personally, we would require as a team your help. So you do work on the BBX platform. That's how it works.
I work all across, including BBX, yes. So I do coaching and presentation coaching. I help clients create webinars. I also help people who want to come across better and learn to do this better. So yeah, but it's consultation. Everybody's got different circumstances, and I've been fortunate enough to be doing, I would say, hundreds, but I've done last year was almost 70 webinars. So it was quite a busy time. So we learned quite a lot of things. Yeah.
We'll be in touch with you, Joe. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. Okay. No problem. Hey, I've got a question here as well, and this is from Terrence. Oh, hang on. So breakout rooms, hosting, sharing. Okay, so I won't get into breakout rooms right now because it's a bit too complex to finish in 2 minutes. But I can talk a little bit about what. Let me see. Terrence's question is, can I check what have you done to be able to play the video on your background, but your face is still shown? Okay. So what I do is I'm using software that's called a switcher, right? And what a switcher can do is it creates a video signal from different layers. So the one that I use is proprietary. It's something called Mimo Live, and it is a professional video switcher, and it's a bit more on the expensive side, but it also does the job really well, and I like it a lot. But there's also solutions that are free, right? So I think it's we were just talking about that just a while ago. I can't remember the name of this right now, but someone help me. We're talking about how we're recording this. Is it OBS? There you go. There's a software called OBS, right? And OBS is actually a free software. It is programmed by the community, and it's available for both Mac as well as PCs. And if you can stomach the learning curve, you can actually create stuff like this. So you can put your video in, you put a green screen, you can add audio, you can do a lot of things. There's a lot of software. So the answer is all this is not as simple as just putting a camera up, but it is doing it with some software which we call a switcher. So there's green screen, there's audio layers as well. So if you're familiar with Photoshop, that's basically what I'm doing. It's live Photoshop. I can put a layer in front of me, a layer behind me. I can do different things like that. I can throw in a video. And if I want to, I can also throw in a feed that is showing the chat in the room as well. So I'm looking at my time. I think my time is up. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope that you have found this useful. And there's so much more, of course, to talk about, and every circumstance is different. But if you want to contact me, you can always do that through Sabina, and she will make sure that we get in touch and we can have a chat about things. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you so much. I think now I feel like we have so much to do for the next webinar. Thank you, Joe. I think especially with the waiting room, I think that's a great idea. I think we overlooked. So Dion, we have a lot of work to do before the next one.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea.
Yeah. So I think there are a couple of other questions and some really good, comments there that I think everybody enjoyed the session very much.
Definitely.
Very grateful to have our friends from India and Malaysia streaming in. So thank you guys. We also hope you found this useful. So anyone needs to reach out to Joe, you can reach out through us. On the other hand, we have another segment today, which is sort of related, one way or the other. And we have another guest speaker that is just going to spend about 5 to 10 minutes with us. And we are calling this segment Product Airtime. And this is for our community, basically to get to know our community better. Okay, what products and services are available out there and who can they engage for. And so happened today, Mario is with us. Hi, Mario, maybe you can unmute yourself.
Yes, hello,
Hi,
good afternoon,
Mario.
everyone. Nice to be
Yeah.
here.
And Mario is basically from, the industry of video and photography, and I think sort of related to this. And, he's going to share with us 5 to 10 minutes on what his services are or his business does. And, then later on, obviously, if you have some question, you can ask Mario directly, or we will leave the contact details for you to contact Mario should you want to make your next presentation or someone that you want to have this impressive video like what Joe showed us at the beginning in your waiting room. So I think Mario missed that part, but yeah, so over to you, Mario.
Thank you so much, Sabina. And I don't know if it's possible to enable the screen sharing so I can, being in a very visual kind of industry.
Yeah, sure.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I just made you co-host.
I'll promise I will keep it very nice and short. So it's always intimidating to speak after a communication expert, by the way, but thank you, Joe, for kind of paving the way for my very brief presentation. So my name is Mario Ferraro. I'm the founder and creative director of this small business called MVF Studios. No prizes for guessing what I do, as Sabrina mentioned. Very much in the business of photography, videography, but also coupled to these two things, I've added the music business. Why is it? Because the whole point of sharing with other people your images, your movies is at the end of the day to send a message, to communicate something, or to remember something. And the music has a very powerful impact regarding the mood that you convey. You can look at the same picture or the same movie. If you change the music, you will convey a totally different mood to that image or to those movie or to that video. And so the music goes very well hand in hand with that. And so in a nutshell, these are the services that MVF Studio provides, from photography to videography to music. And it basically, I operate under two different brands, depending on whether it's photography, videography, or music. More of this later regarding where you can find some of the work or some samples in case you are interested. But effectively, you know, it's all about capturing those moments, those products, those people that matter to you, the things that you want to convey, the things that you want to remember, whether it is a person, whether it is a moment, a feeling, a mood that you want to capture, convey, represent. There is a way of doing it. It's not as simple as picking up your phone and just taking a snapshot. There are many decisions that you need to make. There are many moods that you may want to convey. And so the question there, you tell me what message you want to convey to the world, and I will help you to capture that moment, capture the message, and convey it in the right way, not just the image, but the mood itself, if you want to add mood and music to your images, whether still or moving images. And so it could be an event, it could be a sporting event, it could be a professional or corporate event, it could be a music exhibition, it could be a place that you may want to remember, or perhaps a special project that you're working on, or product. Okay, a lot of the work that I have done in the past and that I still do is really around products. Okay, when you look around you, you find images for everything. You go to a shopping mall and you find, you know, photographs that represent models selling you clothes or food on a menu, or whatever you look around, you will find some images that somehow guide you towards a specific product, but also they tell you something about that product in terms of the quality, the style, the functionality, how you use it, what impact is it going to have on you. And so if you need any help to advertise your products, either in brochures, menus, catalogs, websites, or even an advert, you know, I've done a number of video adverts for YouTube. Please let me know. I'll be happy to help you. Or perhaps you may want to just capture a family moment, you know, that you want to remember for yourself, or, you know, kids growing up, they move so quick, they grow so quickly. You may want to capture some of those moments. I do a lot of fashion photo shoots, whether it's for hair, for cosmetics work, or even if you want to capture other situations like simple portraits. You know, we all age, and it's probably a good idea to capture as many images of yourself or your loved ones now, and perhaps a few times every few years. And the studio photography is something that I love because you can play around with lighting, you can play around with angles, you can play around with composition, and that gives a lot of mood, a lot of impact to the portraits that then you will keep forever. And it doesn't have to be in the studio. As you can see, it can also be done outdoors. You can convey very dramatic moods. And again, imagine adding music to some of these images. Again, it will totally change the mood that you will experience with these images. I'm going very fast because I'm not really want to spend time, you know, for a critique of each one of these images. But each one of these was done for a particular purpose to convey a specific message, a specific meaning. I also do a fair deal of glamour. Now, you know, some people frown. Let me assure you, I can go as far as you want, but I do not do porn. All right. Glamour must be tasteful. Glamour must be, you know, nice, but still very tasteful. Usually when I do glamour, I make sure that there is always a lady assistant with me to ensure that everybody feels comfortable and no one really feels, you know, under any sort of awkward situation. And so this is, again, a full range, a very quick overview of the type of things that I could do for you, ranging from products to people. My preference is really to shoot images of people because, again, you can play a lot more with the pose, with the mood, with hair, with makeup, with accessories. But obviously, you know, if you need a product photo shoot, of course, I can bring my equipment and make your product look as nice as possible. And then very briefly, the music, as I mentioned, will help you to capture the mood. And it can be anything from a simple jingle of a few seconds that you can add to your, you know, if you're an MC, for example, or I've done some songs for some charity projects or for special events, or even ambient music. You know, if you have a shop and you want to have music, original music in the background, again, you tell me how you want your customers to feel when they walk into your shop, and I can help you to, you know, compose some music. Now, composing music for a customer is actually very difficult because everybody's got different tastes and different expectations. It's easy to describe an image. It's quite difficult to capture, you know, the mood and the rhythm and everything regarding a song. But it can be done. It has been done, even for some relatively big clients. And if you want to have a taste of some of the music that I've written, you can find a couple of samples on Spotify or even on internet radio. I've already built a few fans from various parts of the world, thanks to the wonders of internet radio. That's all I had because I promised Sabina to, you know, keep it short, to give you an overview. But effectively, in a nutshell, if you want to capture it, if it's important to you and you want to capture it, then just get in touch. You find my email address here and a link to my website. That's all I had for today. I'm not sure if Sabina, shall I hand over to you?
Yeah, thank you, Mario. I think, sorry we have given you such a quick,
That's fine.
10 minutes, but I think that in essence captures what you do, and that sort of completes Joe's earlier suggestions about music and videos, and why this moving forward, we feel online presentations will become more and more in demand. And I guess, you know, we all have to get used to this new online norms of, you know, meeting your current clients, your potential clients, you know, selling what you have to, you know, over, you know, using Zooms and stuff. So I think that sort of completes that. I think Joe would agree with me because I think today we were a good experiment of a bad Zoom. So I think we have a much to improve for our next one, which is going to happen on July 2nd. So in between, we have to work very hard. So should anyone want to reach out to Mario, you can also reach out through us, through BBX, or you can, you know, I hope you captured his detail. If not, just feel free to reach out to us. I know they are mostly in here. It's either our team members or our own members, maybe a couple of non-members as well joining. But if you need to reach out to either to Joe or Mario for their services and how to make this online, you know, how to engage the audience in a much better and more effective way. And today I took out notes, and I think I have like 2 pages of things to do. So yeah, so a lot to do. Thank you, Joe.